Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome in. This is what I like to call the Reever Review Podcast Edition. You know, I just thought to myself, hey, there's not enough podcasts out there. There's not enough ways to consume. So I said, hey, let me go and start one too, because God knows we need more podcasts. So here we are today. Basically, the point is we're not going to be running through hours and hours of talk, just a couple of main topics from the week, just to run through and talk a little bit about, just to give you a feel for the sports landscape, we'll call it. So, long story short, we're going to kick off with July. July usually, you know, it's known as the American month. It's known as all of these different things. It's a relaxing time of year. For the first time, though, I have come to realize July is by far the worst month and the worst thing to happen to American society that we just don't realize. Either people are off from work or they're bitter about not being off from work. And it's just hot as, you know, the devil. It's so unbelievably bad time of year. And more fitting, the symbolic nature of this month comes with sports. Obviously, we know the two slowest times of year, the slowest days of the year, before and after the All-Star game. The day before and right after. But the month as a whole, have you ever flipped on ESPN and seen the god-awful programming that is on that station during the day, a day like today? You wake up, oh, it's a nice Sunday, you walk outside, you know, aside from the heat, you walk outside, birds are chirping, hey, you know, life is great in terms of it being a calm, relax. Maybe something good's on TV. You throw on ESPN. You know what they got on today that I woke up to? That is just, has to be the most unappealing section of sports ever. They have all of these washed up basketball players in this league that they call the TBT basketball tournament. It's like a winner takes all. It's like $2 million. So they're playing for money alone, basically, and I guess to get some eyes. You got guys like Jimmer Fredette and Jared Solinger, guys that are repping this thing. Why would I want to watch you? What thrill do you guys get? ESPN, what was the mindset of going, hey, let's air these guys that maybe used to have some success in college and definitely didn't make it in the league for the long term, but we'll show you kind of, you know, where are they now in a way to win a tournament against guys that you definitely don't know. And the casual sports fan will never know. But hey, let's throw it on ESPN for the main program. And yes, I get it's not their fault that there's not much going on this time of year. But you want to know how low they got with programming. That was just scratching the surface. They have been playing this repeat. I don't know if it's a repeat or if it's really going on this long. You guys seen this cornhole? They throw corn. This isn't ESPN2 I'm talking about here, folks. ESPN, during this month, several times, has been airing national cornhole tournaments. And aside from the game itself, you gotta see these dudes, man. You have got to see these dudes. These dudes will hit a shot with the beanbag or whatever, and they'll start, you know, motioning as if they hit a game winner in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. You know, say cold blood, acting like they actually matter. And it's just like, what twilight zone have we entered where you think you're legit? Does cornhole count as a sport? I'm seriously considering writing a letter to ESPN to ask for the qualifications of their programming. And God, I watched it for at least half an hour just in awe. Like, what is going on here? And honestly, I'm sure you can make some great drinking games out of it. Because these guys' reactions, coupled with, there's people in the stands for this. If they bought tickets, I'm out. If people bought tickets and they aren't family members to watch this, I'm out. How can you not be? Unbelievable, but very symbolic of July as a whole. So definitely don't tune into ESPN unless you're really nothing else is on, unless movie marathons have come to an end. Okay, into the more thick part of sports this year. A big story that happened this week. I won't even say story, I guess it's developing because we've known this over time. Take a sip of cold brew, God knows I need it. Mike Trout you know, we like to think most, people that aren't casual sports fans know who Mike Trout is. And apparently, most people don't in general. So the Washington Post came out with this article this week in regards to Q scores. Now, I'd never heard of this before, and I'm a little upset I didn't, because I definitely will use this a lot more going forward, because it's a good metric. It's a good metric for people that follow sports to follow, but more importantly, people that don't follow sports to follow when it comes to hearing about an athlete. So these Q scores are basically, it measures the consumer appeal of personality. So it basically is a personality radar. And athletes, go into so many different territories in their own lives that this is a good topic, a good measuring stick for who they are off the field. And so Mike Trout, in this, gets a rating of a 22. And so that basically means that 1 in 5 Americans know who he is. For the best player in baseball to only have 20% of the nation knows who he is, it's pretty jaw-dropping. But we've known this for a long time. Mike Trout, obviously a great player. These ridiculous stats about all these, these games that he gets on base at the very least. He's just such a menacing force when it comes to the plate and just getting on the bag consistently. Obviously, great fielder. So many accolades that he's got, multiple-time MVP at this point. We know all that. Have you ever actually listened to the dude talk? Because I think for the first time, once this came out, and it's been, Rob Manfred, commissioner, has come out and speaking about it too, and that made it a little bit of a bigger deal because he kind of pushed forward Mike Trout to also, maybe make a little bit more of an effort in terms of getting that score up and, letting people know who he is. And I guess rightfully so for their business, because, this is a league that's suffering in terms of eyes and it's behind the times and all of that good stuff. So, hey, he did an interview. They've started miking up guys, I don't want to say during the game because they don't usually do it the regular season. It started with this manager thing where managers were getting ejected and they just so happened to have a hot mic. And so people started throwing mics on players, during games, basically exhibition games, just to, give a more fun feel, I guess you could say. Yeah, super fun to hear dudes talking that are concentrated on playing regardless of, the scale of the game. But Mike Trout was out in center field during the All-Star game. My God. I think I'd rather listen to some tree bark. He just, I understand, and, I'm a massive Patriots fan, so trust me, I know when it comes to these interviews and not giving people much, it's just not in him, dude. It is just not in this guy to give you something interesting for a quote. And is that his fault? No. Everybody's wired different ways. Mike Trout, obviously, in that boat. But for him to be the face of the game, which I wouldn't even say he is. He just happens to be the best player in the game. But people want that to coincide with the personality. He just doesn't give you much from, his own thought process. He wants to show up, go to work, accomplish everything he's got to do, doesn't necessarily want to be in the headlines. That's fine. Here's my comparison for him. Something everybody can relate to. Most guys can relate to. Mike Trout is like the hot girl in grade school. Beautiful girl. You see her through the halls every single day, and you just go, man, if I had the chance to be with her, to date her, to get the unattainable. And the Angels have that luxury. And that one day, you finally spark up, you get the courage to finally spark up a conversation with her. And you talk to her, and about 2 minutes in, you realize, well, I guess I can see why she doesn't have a guy on her arm most of the time. Because that's what it's like to talk to Mike Trout. But it's a bigger problem for the league itself, for sure. And you want to talk about a guy that stole the show over All-Star Weekend, along the same lines? Bryce Harper. I mean, he's captivating from a not everyone loves him angle, but from almost a villain angle. When he showed up to the home run derby in his, would we even call that attire? With the headband, the American flag, the sleeve. I'm like, did you get that produced just for this? I know all these guys are, it was just, I don't even want to call it a show. It was an act and a half, for sure. But That's what the game needs. That's the only way this kind of game is going to survive, is if people, in the same way with the NBA right now, with the Warriors, people are going to tune in because they're hopeful that they might lose. They're hopeful that the things that they just expect might not happen, that it might go against the grain. And Bryce Harper, trust me, goes against the grain. He did also an interview during the All-Star game. And he gave you, I mean, it's easy to do since I'm talking about Trout. He gave you more than Trout by far. And so this guy, Bryce Harper, same Q score, 53% of people know who he is. So just over half. That's important. That's people not in sports seeing this guy, knowing who he is. Most likely it's because of the hair. God knows he's on all these shampoo commercials. All these, when baseball has a commercial, they're going to turn to him first before a guy like Mike Trout. And the dude, I mean, it's a down year for the guy, but dude's batting like, what, he was batting like 215 there for a while. He had a stretch going like through there. Below 250 most of this year. Yet Mike Trout, who's over 300 again, on pace for another MVP year, maybe even the best year that he's had in this league up to this point, is falling by the wayside more than ever. So whether it's a problem the league can address or not, who knows? But it gives you a big measuring stick and status of where the league is right now. Moving along, LeBron James, you might have heard of the guy. Even though there was no decision, people can't stop talking about that LA Lake Show. The LA Lake Show is the place to be once again. Unfortunately for Celtics fans who just hope they crash and burn continually and time again. So, but given, rightfully so, they're back in the headlines. LeBron James, obviously, you want to talk about his Q score. Don't have it in front of me, but God knows that's probably around 100, maybe even 200. You get two people. People know him so much that two people couldn't even add up for how much they know him. So, apparently they know him. But some people aren't really liking it. LeBron James, another mural in LA, because, obviously captivating story, huge deal, goes to another premier franchise in the NBA. Just as much headlines as when he was in Miami, given it was different circumstances, as I'm talking about with the decision and everything. But he's going to, the biggest market, one of the biggest markets again. And a guy in a place where they've won before. If not maybe more than anybody, especially in recent years, over the past couple of decades, I should say. So, back to relevancy. There's murals out there. And, it's not just him in a Lakers uniform. The most recent mural, people are throwing white paint over it, just Team Kobe and all this different stuff. Because I understand that for a time there was, either you take Kobe or you take LeBron because they were, 1A and 1B in the league. And so LeBron now is taking over Kobe's ship and what was. And so people are upset about that because they want it to be Kobe forever. And so people, I guess, are going around vandalizing murals. And my question is this. For the people that are doing it, do you realize that the reason the mural is there is because you guys are actually relevant again? And what is the source of anger when it comes to that? Where is that coming from? Would you guys rather be bad and have Kobe be the most recent star, or win a title again and tie the Celtics for the most, titles of all time, and then really get that reputation probably of the greatest franchise in NBA history? Or would you just rather have the pride in Kobe? It is just mind-blowing to me that a place such as that, where there's been so much winning going on, in this case, is not following suit on that. They would rather have the Lakers be bad again, but have that reputation of Kobe being the lasting memory, the lasting figure, given it wasn't that long ago he was in a Laker uniform, then LeBron, kind of taking over his reputation and stuff. Those years are gone, folks. LeBron James is on your team now. Do you understand what different monster that is? And look, I went through a time growing up in South Florida when LeBron was on the Heat. God, it was awful at times, especially being a Celtics fan. And him taking us out what seems like year in and year out, which he did again, which was, God, abysmal. But there's a reason that he is if not the most polarizing figure in the game's history. Maybe even more so than Jordan, especially in today's day and age with social media and all that. You have to, you don't have to embrace him, but you have to realize that it's good he's here. He's good. It's good that he is there for you for at least the next 4 years. Look, I understand LA has a lot of different priorities in terms of life itself. It's how you look. It's how you go out. It's how much money you have. LeBron is bringing more of that to you guys. Lifelong Laker fans, people that actually enjoy basketball and actually understand this, can appreciate what he is about to bring to your team because it's much more than basketball. It is a buzz that you will not believe, and it's evident now, but it will be much more evident when the year rolls around. So that's for sure. Sticking with the Lakers, and the last topic to touch on, I don't want to say a lighter topic. Michael Beasley signed with the Lakers this week. 1 year, I think $3.5 million. That's what I got here in front of me. Given that last topic there was just about LeBron, what are the Lakers exactly doing here? Saw a great tweet from somebody. They have all these charts. These charts where they have, people play games and they give you, most of the all-stars in the league and they give cash values to all these guys. And, usually it's like, hey, you have $15 and each player costs a certain amount. Build your ideal starting lineup. You pick and choose a couple of high-costing guys there and then lower-costing guys. It's all about value. It's like the Lakers decided LeBron costs all of the coin. LeBron costs $14 and you got to fill out the rest of the roster with that $1 you got left because some of the pieces they brought on, strictly aside from a strictly on the court persona, what are these guys what reality show are we about to embark on that is the Los Angeles Lakers? What is about to go down in LA besides basketball? Let me read you. I mean, given this lineup will probably never be on the floor because this is, the smallest line of all time and wouldn't make sense with all the ball carriers. Put that aside. If these five were ever on the floor, really put yourself in the shoes of losing your mind. Lonzo Ball, him not himself, obviously his father, nut job. Rondo, recently signed with the team as well. Lance Stevenson, Mr. Blow in Your Ear, to the guy who's also going to be on the court with him, LeBron. And then Michael Beasley. Isn't it kind of crazy to think about? LeBron might not even be the most notable in terms of what he brings attention-wise to the floor out of that group. You got all these super teams and these, mega super teams now. Everybody's trying to team up and build, these. That's the title that they've got now, super team. The Lakers are building the first ever psycho team. The psychopath team. What is about to go down in LA? I just say, they got all these, Real Housewives of blah, blah, blah. You got to get the real basketball players of Los Angeles because there is about to be some disagreements like it's nobody's business. Couple fists, a couple punches here and there. Michael Beasley's passing around, let's just say, substances that used to be frowned upon everywhere and now are okay. In most places. He's dishing them out to everybody. It is just a beyond belief signing that all of these guys are there. And in my opinion, not talking about how many games they're going to win or lose, part of the discussion with LeBron going there is, hey, are they just there? Is he there to further his brand beyond that? His production companies out there, all that different stuff. Is it beyond basketball? Clearly it is. Clearly it is. It's the market. It's everything. Is the team going along with that, with these signings? Are they just signing these guys? We're talking about Q scores. All these guys got Q scores. And for different reasons, usually besides basketball. Because they're all out of their minds. They're all a little loco in one way or another. And are the Lakers just doing that to get, I won't say ratings, because they're the 10:30 game every time on ESPN. They're the second game of the back-to-back, regardless of what their record is. But what is the intention here? Because only very few people, as of now, see this actually making sense from a basketball perspective. And I know you got to get all these guys at a lower price, these veterans at a lower price. That's usually how it starts with these super teams. Because there is another domino to drop over there with the Lakers. You know, Kawhi's now in Toronto. A whole nother issue to dive into with how everything went down over there. You know, Paul George back with OKC. So there has to be something else that happens most likely next offseason. But what are the Lakers doing for this year? Are they just trying to get eyes over to their team for when the bigger move again happens after LeBron here to make the team over the top? For the time being, they'll be the Psycho team, the bridge Psycho team to whatever star they drop next, most likely Kawhi Leonard. And maybe even somebody else. Because the NBA, it seems like every day there's a new rumor and somebody wants to leave town, Jimmy Butler, all these different stuff. It's a loaded squad, and I mean, the league is doing what the team is succeeding if they want people to watch them, because next season is going to be a trip in terms of these egos clashing together. All right, guys, well, that's your rundown for the week. Appreciate you guys taking the time. I will check back with you again next week. Have a great Sunday and a great rest of your week.